An article has came out linking 3 players to the San Antonio Spurs if the CP3 experience does not work by the trade deadline, one of which I absolutely love. And 2K ratings have unveiled themselves. Victor Wembanyama, 91. Is it too low? We break that down here on Spurs Digest with Keenan Warner. Make sure you guys take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment. Let's get into it. 3 low-risk players the Spurs could replace Chris Paul with by the trade deadline. Jaleel Williams wrote an article about this. Chris Paul's deal with the San Antonio Spurs is for 1 season, 1 year, about $11 million, an easily movable contract. And there's no telling whether he stays on the roster until the end of that contract. At 39 years old, it is hard to imagine that he wouldn't want another chance to win a ring if the opportunity presented itself. Teams may come calling if he can show how valuable he can be in San Antonio before the deadline. But that's not the only factor. But Chris Paul, he is a guy who I think can change life and will change life for the San Antonio Spurs this season. He will add intellect, he will add intelligence, he will add IQ, he will add a sense of competitiveness and a winning atmosphere into the San Antonio Spurs. That paired with Gregg Popovich, CP3 will be able to help Devin Vassell, he will be able to help Victor Wembanyama, he'll be able to show Stephon Castle the ropes. But halfway through the season, the Spurs season's not going entirely how we think it's going to go. There are targets, and Chris Paul is a movable salary and is absolutely capable of being a difference maker on a championship caliber team. The first player that we're going to talk about here is Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is one of the most polarizing players in the NBA, partly because he hasn't actually been playing for a while. Ben Simmons, we know what's gone on with him. He had the infamous play where he decided not to take the layup, and from that point on, the mental health and everything. But Ben Simmons, the thing about him, number 1 draft pick, rookie of the year, averaged 16, 8, and 8. He was compared to LeBron James, 3-time All-Star, yet at 28 years old, he's only 28. That's the thing about him that is so crazy. Ben Simmons, the last time we saw Ben Simmons, he was putting up 6 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. San Antonio, truly, I don't love the fit. I'm going to be quite honest with you. Don't love the fit of Ben Simmons. I understand what he can bring, and he has that point forward mentality to him, but that's a guy who cannot shoot at all next to Wemby, and why would you want someone next to Wemby that can't shoot? So I don't love the Ben Simmons fit whatsoever. I think that is somebody who they should not go for at all out of these 3. Simmons owed $40 million this season. I understand the salary cap really means nothing to the San Antonio Spurs as long as it's not a max contract for many years on a player that they don't want. But it's in the final year of his deal. So many injuries. Is Ben Simmons reliable? No. Why? I don't like this one. Do not like the Ben Simmons thought whatsoever. But one that I do like, Trey Young. The second player he mentioned was Trey Young. Let this get one out of the way. As much as some fans are out on the idea of bringing in Trey Young, it's still on the table. He has 3 years left on his contract, but the Spurs can afford him. Yes, they can. There isn't a single year above $50 million, and the San Antonio Spurs doesn't have any expensive players on their salary cap. Their most expensive right now is Devin Vassell, and he's roughly around $20-ish million, which in today's NBA is not much at all. Trey Young last season was putting up 26 points, close to 11 assists, 43% from the floor, 37% from 3, and I think that this Trey Young and Wemby pick and roll could be lethal. The thing with Trey Young is, with him having 3 years left on his deal, you're going to have to give up picks. They would absolutely be looking to get their pick back, that Hawks pick, which could be a pick that could land you Cooper Flagg or one of these top flight prospects in this 2025 draft, which is loaded with talent. You would have to give up that. You're probably going to be looking up getting up Keldon Johnson, or the goal would be to keep Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sochan, but Jeremy Sochan as well. Obviously, Stephon Castle is going to stay. You'd probably be looking at getting rid of Keldon Johnson, which is a tough look as well. I don't love getting rid of Keldon Johnson, and that pick for Trey Young, but the Wemby and Trey Young experience, I think, could change life in San Antonio because Trey Young, he can close, he can play make, he can facilitate, he stretches the floor. But there's a third player here that I find the most intriguing. I find this one to be the one, and it's Lonzo Ball. And before you guys look and like, why Lonzo Ball? I get the injury concern. I truly get the injury concern. And if that's your concern, I got you. The Chicago, they just traded for Josh Giddey. He's going to be their point guard for the foreseeable future, so they could look to move Lonzo for the right price. And since San Antonio could pay just about any price within reason, no reason why not. So Lonzo Ball, let's talk about him. 12 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists for his career. That three-point percentage is at 36. He's really a better shooter than that. We know he came in with the broken jump shot from UCLA. We saw how lethal he could be at UCLA. In LA, it wasn't the fit for him. He had his game, second game, when he put up 28 against Phoenix, made some clutch plays down the stretch. He had his moments. He had his games at New York. And Madison Square Garden, hit like 4 threes, 3 of them which being in the third quarter. LeVar on the sideline going nuts. But wasn't great. Goes to the Pelicans. He plays very well with the Pelicans. Him and Zion get a good rapport. You've got Brandon Ingram there. They got a lot of pieces there in New Orleans because of that Lakers trade. Obviously, the Lakers get Anthony Davis. Then he plays super well when he goes to the Chicago Bulls. And as you see here, 42.3 from the floor, that's fine. But the 42.3% from the three-point line, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And the thing with Lonzo Ball is he can play defense. He looks healthy. The 5-on-5s, he's looking like the old Lonzo Ball again. It's going to take him some time to get in. If he showcases that he is the same Lonzo Ball that he has always been, this would be the perfect fit. You do not have to give up much for him. I understand they're probably going to be looking. You might have to move off of Keldon Johnson, but truly, it might not even be that. You could probably get it for some picks, and then maybe Tre Jones, Zach Collins, and some picks, because they do need a big. I know Vucevic is, but like they do need the big. If you get Lonzo Ball, the thing with him, he can play, make the pick and roll with Wemby would be lethal, but he doesn't need the ball in hands. It gives Stephon Castle the ability to grow the most on the roster. He's able to play with the ball in his hands, be a facilitator, and be a scoring guard. Devin Vassell is a scoring guard. He obviously can play make, but he is a scoring guard at heart. You have a guy like Lonzo who just plays great team defense and then dream offense, and then defensively, he's always been one of the best perimeter guards on his team, and he's one of the better perimeter guards in the league. He's not Drew Holiday. He may not be Marcus Smart, but he is an absolute difference maker on the defensive end. 6'5", 6'6", long arms, great instincts, great hands. We'll see if the lateral quickness is still there from the injuries to his lower body. We'll see. But I think Lonzo Ball would be a perfect fit for the San Antonio Spurs. He plays the right way, and nothing Pop loves more than players playing the right way. Lonzo Ball is the target out of all three of those. I love the Lonzo Ball fit in San Antonio. And one thing I want to touch on real quick, gonna shift before we get out of here for the day. We see the 2K rating here. Victor Wembanyama himself at 18. I don't love it. Not gonna lie, I don't love it. So right now at 18, he's the top 18 player in the league, of course. He's better than Kawhi because I think Kawhi Leonard, with his lack of health, I think he's better than Kawhi. Kyrie Irving, if you were going to start a team for next season, you're going to try to tell me you're taking Kyrie Irving over Victor Wembanyama? No. You're taking Jaylen Brown over Victor Wembanyama to start your team next year. Just for one season, because that's what you're basing off of. No. Donovan Mitchell. That's where you can get a Donovan Mitchell. I understand why Donovan Mitchell is there. Donovan Mitchell has been able to propel his team. We've seen him put 50 points up in playoff games. We just saw him put up a great Game 6 and then put up a great Game 7 in the playoffs against the Magic to oust them. Jalen Brunson, I'm fine. I would have him right at 14. over Donovan Mitchell, and I'd have him at a 93 with Jalen Brunson, Devin Booker, and Anthony Edwards. Ready to ascend into that top 10 by the end of the year, and that top 10 ratings-wise is Jokic, Luka, and Giannis all at 97. I am very okay with that. Shea and Embiid at 96. Very okay with that. Curry, LeBron, and Tatum at 95. I would add Kevin Durant to that 95, and then I'd be okay with that. Anthony Davis can stay at 94. I'm okay with that as well. I think the 2K ratings, they did pretty well across the board. I would bump Wemby up to a 93 and have him 14, just behind Jalen Brunson now, ready to creep into the top 10 and be above Anthony Davis. His goal and his projection is probably... His projections about above Anthony Davis and close to where Tatum and Curry are next year. Top 8 is where he could end up by the end of the year after he wins Defensive Player of the Year, gets the Spurs to the play-in, and is top 5 in MVP voting. But let me know in the comments what you think about Wemby's 2K rating, if it's too high, too low. Let me know what you guys think about Lonzo Ball joining the San Antonio Spurs if the CP3 experience doesn't work out, or if you like Trey Young or Ben Simmons, or if you like somebody else, because there's so many players in the league that are going to be able to be moved here coming up. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys soon.